This is an upper body strength session that is designed to support your luteal phase. In this time in the cycle, we're shifting into high hormones. So we see both a rise in estrogen and progesterone. Both of these hormones have their benefits, and progesterone can have that calming, soothing effect throughout the second half of the cycle. But there's also some things happening with our physiology. We see some metabolic shifts happening that invite a change in our training. So we experience longer recovery times, we're having less efficient cooling, and we experience more of a catabolic metabolism, which means our body's more prone to breaking tissues down to supply those building blocks that we need to build the lining of the uterus in preparation for a pregnancy. So it's that cyclical process that happens month after month, and it changes what's happening and the way that we metabolize and convert food to energy. It also means that our bodies are more carb-sparing, and there's a preference for burning fat for fuel at rest. We'll still use carbohydrates during exercise, but they'll be harder to access. So the body's being a little bit more stingy with those quick access resources, which means it's harder to hit those high intensities. So we're not even going to move towards that threshold. We'll stay in more low to moderate intensities to support that metabolic shift. It doesn't mean you're going to lose progress. It doesn't mean you're not working hard and that it can't be challenging. It just means we're taking a different approach. And this is where cyclical fitness has the potential for the greatest impact. So when you invest in this part of your cycle with that lower intensity, with that more intentional work, it pays dividends for your next cycle. You can come back more well-resourced for your high energy phases and make the progress that you're looking for month over month. So it's that great way to build upon one cycle to the next. So in this practice, we are staying in that lower intensity. We're moving toward an endurance training mode, which means lighter weight and a higher rep range. So we're working in the 16 rep range with that lighter set of weights, and we're only performing 2 sets of each circuit instead of, say, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 when we're looking to build volume and get us into that mode of muscle development. Instead, here we're looking to preserve the muscle that we already have by shifting the intensity. So today we have 3 circuits that each have 3 exercises, and we're working with kind of asymmetrical loading, alternating sides for a couple of reasons. One, we get the core activation that we're looking for to stabilize that asymmetrical loading, and it also dials down the intensity because we're only working one side at a time. So you'll move through 16 reps of each exercise and just complete the set 2 times. In between our sets of work, we're going to be working through some isometric plank work where you're really targeting that core activation and deep integration of all the structures that support the spine. So this is a great one for postural balance and for developing that strength that holds your body in space. So for your weight selection, I would err on the side of going too light so that you can really focus on your mechanics and focus on mind-muscle connection. This one at times may feel so light that you might be tempted to swing the weight, and that's where you develop the mind-muscle connection, where you develop control even when the load is very light. So we'll have our quick warm-up in the beginning, our cool down to finish, and then a solid 30-minute strength session in the middle. Let's get started. We are going to get right into our warm-up for today. Go ahead and make your way to a tabletop, hands and knees, shoulders over wrists. The hips are directly over the knees. We're starting with a simple cat and cow. Inhale, soften the belly, gaze up. And as you exhale, round the spine, curl the belly in, chin to chest. Inhale, start to feel some separation between the bones of the spine, and then exhale, round it in. So feel that wave with breath in and out. Just starting to awaken the upper body here. And then slowly begin to take your right hand behind your head. Take the elbow out wide. As you inhale, open that elbow, keep the hips square, and exhale, wrap the elbow under. So here we're trying to mobilize the rib cage, the thoracic spine, so that upper mid back. So opening with the inhale and exhaling to rotate. Again, your hips are stationary, they're stable and square. Feel that awakening just behind the shoulder blades here. Last one like this, open up. And then we'll take that right arm forward, left arm back into spinal balance. Square the hips, square the shoulders, and then parallel tracks. Bring knee to elbow and elbow to hip. So we reach, extend, and then exhale, draw the belly in. So here we are waking up the core to support our upper body practice. This is one of my favorite core exercises for connecting to the deeper layers, the transverse abdominis. And then from here, walk the hands out, keep the legs parallel, and bring hips to heels for a child's pose, stretch the shoulders, and then roll forward to a half push-up. Bring the heart, belly, chest to the floor. Hug the elbows in as you press up, come back to child's pose. Roll forward, heart, belly, chest, float down. Squeeze the elbows in as you press up, and back to that child's pose with the legs parallel. Few more rounds like this, find your push-up. And then coming back up to your tabletop, T-spine twist on the other side, left hand to the back of the head, open with your inhale, and exhale, wrap it in. So the goal with our warm-up is to prepare the major joints in the upper body for our weighted practice and to develop a little bit of heat, generate that nice warmth from the inside out. Last one like this, open and round it in. Come to your spinal balance now. Left arm forward, right leg back. Square the hips and shoulders first. Draw the hip points toward the low ribs. And then as you exhale, parallel tracks with that left arm, right leg. They slide just past each other to tone the low belly. Try not to arch your back as you come through the extension. Instead, keep the hip points hugging toward the low ribs. You got this. And then we're coming into downward dog next. So take your hands forward, tuck the toes, lift hips up and back. Find your downward dog, focus more on the shoulder stretch here. And then we're going to inhale, let the knees hover, come to bear plank. Tap one shoulder and then the other. Come back to downward dog. Roll forward, bear plank. As you come into that tap, can you keep the shoulders nice and even, nice and square? We're recruiting the stabilizing muscles as we change to that asymmetrical load where we're balancing on one hand. And then slowly start to walk your hands back toward your feet. Slowly roll up bone by bone, coming into a side bend. Inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, side bend. You can bring that hand behind the head once again, opening that elbow and switching sides. Reach up and over, hand behind, spin the shoulder open, nice big breath. And then here, simple crisscross arms. So keep the arms straight and strong and just alternate between crossing in front and squeezing the shoulder blades behind you. So I really want you to feel like you're crossing as far as you can to open the back and chest here. Squeezing the shoulder blades onto the back as if you were receiving that gentle touch to press the palms open. And then we're going to switch to our lateral pull down. So we'll reach the arms overhead. And then as you exhale, hug the elbows behind you. Create these nice wide circles. Really explore the range of motion in the shoulders. Feel how the shoulder blades can mobilize. So they retract and protract. They can move up and down. They can elevate and descend. Really want you to feel that tone in the upper back. At the same time, can you keep the low ribs from flaring out? Last one like this. Excellent work. That is your upper body warm up for today. Maybe give a few more shoulder circles. And now you're ready to get into your workout. We are going to get right into this upper body endurance workout for today. Just make sure you have a set of dumbbells handy, something on the lighter side. So should be enough to feel that challenge, but enough that you still have reps in reserve at the end of each set. We're going for a higher rep range today at 16 reps. So you'll want something that you can sustain for that amount. We have 3 sets of work that we're moving through today, and we are using core work in between, which means we're starting with our plank hold. So start to make your way onto your mat. We will start the timer here, and we're holding this plank for a minute. So it's just a straight up plank. Your shoulders are over the wrists. We're going to step back in 3, 2, 1. Let's step back into plank. Start to refine the position. So press down through all 10 finger pads. Stretch the crown of the head forward and really press your heels back behind you. Then energetically draw the heels of the hands and the ball mounds of the feet together. That should really activate the belly. Then lift your hip points toward your low ribs. Stretch the center of the chest forward and maintain that activation. So this is an isometric hold here. I want you to really activate the legs, pressing the heels back behind you. Spread all 10 toes, so you're mimicking the action in the hands and feet. We're here for just about 20 more seconds. Find that nice, smooth, solid breath in and out. Can you relax all the muscles in your face in the presence of this challenge? It's really tapping into core integration at the start of our practice here. Last one. And slowly come down. We'll stop our timer and then we'll get into our first set of work. We have 3 exercises starting with a bridge chest press. In this one, we are alternating sides. So you'll come down onto your back, hug your heels in toward your sitting bones. Make sure the legs are parallel. Shoulders rest on the mat. Back of the head is neutral. We're going to take those weights up to the starting position directly over the center of the chest, over the nipple line. And then I want you to lift the hip bones toward the low ribs as you send the glutes up. Press down through the heels so you're not arching the lower back. Shoulders are soft away from the ears. And then we're simply going to alternate sides. So we come down and back up, switch sides. We're here for 16 reps. These can be pretty quick. I want you to develop that endurance mode. So breathing in as you come down and to press up. Exhale. Here's 8. So you're halfway there. You can move quickly with this weight so long as you're staying in control. So we're not swinging the weight. We're not losing that form. We've got 6 more. Here's 4, 2, and that was our last one. Slowly come down. We're going to switch into our tabletop position so you can take the weights with you. Come into your tabletop for alternating reverse fly. So I want your shoulders to be directly over the wrists. Hips are directly over the knees once again. Here, it's important to first brace the belly. So that's part of the reason we started with plank, to create that connection so you can articulate the abdominal wall. And then we're going to take one arm out to the side for reverse fly and come back down. Then the other side. This is very intense core stabilization because I want you to keep the shoulders and the hips square. There's 4. We've got 16 of these. Breathe out as you lift. There's 8. So we're halfway there. Really want you to press the shoulder blades onto the back here. Keep those shoulders nice and square. We've got 4 more. 4. Here's 3. Try not to swing the weight. 2. And 1. Take it out. Shake out your wrists for a moment. Our next exercise is one of 2 options. You can take a bear plank row where you're hovering the knees and pulling the elbows back, or you can take it into a tripod row where you're sending one leg back with the opposite elbow. As you come into that row, make sure you're taking the elbow straight back, not letting it pop out. I want you to hug it in so you keep the shoulders broadening apart. Again, we have 16 reps. So whether you're coming into a tripod or a bear plank, let's head there now. 16 reps, alternating sides. Really want you to hug the elbows back. Keep the shoulders and hips square. Embracing the belly from start to finish. That's halfway. Here we go. 12. Just 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly set it down, shake it out. That is our first set, and now we're coming back to that chest press. So we're going to lower onto the back for alternating chest press. Hug the heels in towards your sitting bones. Reach those arms overhead. Come into your bridge position and we'll alternate sides. So we take it down and up, switch sides, down and up. So you're bracing the belly by lifting hip points and low ribs together, really engaging the glutes to lift the thighs and the hips toward the sky. Take it down and up. So this lighter weight, you should have plenty of energy in reserve by the end of each set. We're not maxing out. We're feeling the challenge, but it's sustainable. It's something you can do for a long period of time. Let's get 4 more. 4. Here's 3, 2, and last 1. Slowly come down and we'll move to our next exercise, back to that reverse fly in tabletop. So we're coming into position. Let's begin now. Take it out. You can keep the elbow just slightly bent here, out to the side and back to center. So resisting that rotation, your body will want to twist, but you're using core engagement to keep it stable, to keep the hips and shoulders level. It takes a lot of work there. Halfway there, we've got 8 more reps. So we are switching to luteal phase mode with this workout, which means we are turning down the intensity, but it's still challenging. So it's a different pace. It's a different training mode that still has lots of benefits in this phase in the cycle. Last 2. So it helps keep us in that more moderate intensity, so we're not contributing to more internal stress, so that we are mitigating the catabolic effects of progesterone that tend to kind of use our muscles as the reserve. So we tone it down so that we don't have that peak intensity energy demand during this workout. Coming into your either tripod row or bear plank row next. Tuck the toes under, lift the knees if you're coming into bear plank, and let's begin. Pull the elbows back. Part of turning down the intensity is also a decrease in volume for today. In this luteal phase practice, that means we're only enjoying 2 sets of each circuit. So each set of 3 exercises we'll just work through 2 times. Here's 10. We've got 6 more. Feel the core engagement here, whether you're in tripod row or bear plank. 2 more. And set those weights down. You can set them off to the side. We're coming into our next round of plank. I'll get our timer ready. We are having the option here of either just a straight plank like we did in the first round, or you can take very slow mountain climbers. So I'll get our timer started. Get ready to move into your plank now. Refine the plank first, so find that strong engagement. And then without adjusting anything, I want you to hug right knee to chest and step it back. Left knee to chest and step it back. These are super slow. I want you to feel the change in sensation and engagement throughout that movement pattern. So as the knee comes in and then as it returns. See if you can. Maybe take the knee to the elbow, same side elbow, feel kind of the external obliques, and then cross the body. Cross the body, and then back to center. And to the sides. So knee to elbow, and knee to elbow. Last few seconds here, let's cross the body. And that is 1 minute in plank. Come down, shake it out. We're coming into our next circuit of 3 exercises. This one will be standing, so you can start to take your weights into a standing position nice and slow. So let your body adjust with each new position. We have kind of a higher tendency to get dizzy or experience those dramatic shifts in blood pressure during the luteal phase. So just take your time as you move to standing. Our first exercise here is an alternating shoulder press. So we're going to take the weight overhead, palms are facing away from you. I want you to squeeze the shoulder blades onto the back. Notice here, my front ribs are drawing in, sitting bones moving toward the inner heels, chest is lifting up. We're just alternating sides, taking those elbows out to the side. So we come down and up. Come to shoulder height only. No need to come all the way down. There's 3 and 4. So we're alternating sides. The opposite side still continues to work as one side is moving. So it's that isometric hold and the dynamic movement on the opposite side. Coming up on 8. So we're halfway there. Let's get 8 more. This one, you should start to feel maybe a little bit more in that overhead position and with that contralateral hold. Last 2. Finish strong and rest. Slowly come down. We're coming into a bent tricep extension next. So feet are shoulder width apart. We're going to come into that slight hinge position. Make sure the back of the neck is long, spine is straight from crown to tail. We're going to hug the elbows back just like we did in our row, and then simply extend and bend the elbows. So we're coming into our tricep extension, 16 reps. Reach it back and to center. That's 2. If the weight gets too heavy or you're starting to feel too much fatigue, we want to, again, stay in that sustainable zone. But if it pushes into that higher intensity, I want you to alternate sides so you can move just one arm at a time. Coming up on 10. Let's get 6 more. Breathe out as you straighten the arms. Again, here, try not to swing the weight so you stay in control the whole way up, the whole way down. Last 2. And last 1. Excellent job. Next exercise is our good morning. So this one, a hip hinge, so you will feel it a little bit in the lower body, but we're really looking to awaken the spine, so the rivers of the spine that keep us in that upright posture. For the hold with 2 dumbbells, I want you to wrap the elbows into the midline so you have the elbows in parallel tracks. All 10 toes are facing forward. We're simply going to hinge the body halfway and come up. That's 1. I want you to feel the weight moving slightly forward into the ball mounds of your feet and really awaken the spine. So feel that musculature all along the spine activating as you come into that hip hinge position. Breathe in as you come down and exhale to lift. Here's 10. We've got 6 more. You've got that micro bend in the knees so that we're not putting too much strain on the hamstrings, focusing this more on the back. Let's get 2 more. And last 1. Slowly release the weight. So we're coming into our second set. Again, we just have 2 sets of this work. We're working that higher rep range for our endurance training mode. So coming back to the top of this circuit with alternating shoulder press. Let's take that weight overhead, palms face away from you, and let's begin. Take it down and up. Here's 2 and up. Feel that strong integration in the spine so your low ribs are drawing in. Chest is lifting. Almost halfway there through this final set of this exercise. Let's get 8 more. Keep your spine nice and tall. Down and squeeze at the top. So I know that contralateral hold gets challenging. Stay with it. Strong till the end. Last 2. And last 1. Excellent job. Coming into bent tricep extension next. So by the end of each set, you shouldn't be feeling completely tapped out, and you should be able to move pretty continuously into the next exercise. However, if you feel like you need a little more recovery, you want to rack the weights, you can always hit the pause button and jump back in when you are ready. Let's come into that bent position. Draw the elbows back, broaden across the chest, simple extension, and back to the starting position. Let's begin. Back and in. Squeeze the triceps at the top, so get that additional contraction to make the most of every rep. So you're straightening the arms all the way and then coming to that 90-degree bend. So you have something of isometric work at the bottom of this movement pattern where you're holding that weight at the 90-degree bend and then extending. Again, not swinging the weights here, staying integrated, hugging the elbows into the sides. Let's get 6 more. Stay with me. And these are small muscle grooves in the back of the triceps, so you might start to feel it a little bit more quickly. Last one. Excellent job. Coming to our good morning hip hinge next. So you can take your weight and bring it into position. Make sure again that you're not letting the elbows wing out, but that you're staying in that integrated aligned position with the elbows wrapping in. Let's draw the low belly in, lift up through the chest, move the spine together as a unit, lifts and lowers together. Here we go. Let's begin. Down and up. So you're just resting the weight on that upper back. Again, it's almost a little bit mechanical in that you're moving the spine down together and up together. Almost halfway there through this last set. Let's get 8 more. Make sure you're not coming too far down. Make sure you have that nice, generous bend in the knees. 4 more. Here we go. And last one. Excellent job. You can slowly set those weights down. We are going to come into our next round of plank work. So here we're coming into side plank. You can take this either on your forearm or up on the hand. And we're going to be performing knee hugs. So if your wrists are feeling a little bit tired, or maybe it's a little bit too much for the wrists to be in that weight-bearing mode, you can come into that forearm plank where your elbow is directly under your shoulder. So come into whichever position you like. We're going to be stacking shoulders, stacking the hips. If you are on your hand, make sure your wrist is slightly forward of your shoulder. I see a common misalignment where we think we have to have the shoulder over the wrist, like in our traditional plank, but that compresses the angle, this loading angle on the shoulder. What I want you to do is open that up so that your 90-degree angle is between the arm and the side waist. Let's get started. I'll begin our timer now. Come up into your side plank. Get settled first. Stack shoulders, stack hips. Send your top arm overhead, and then you have the option. It's there if you want it to hug knee to elbow. So you can bring it forward and then out to the side. Turn that hip open. So we're exploring both modes of rotation here in the hip, taking it out to the side and bringing it forward. We're keeping the shoulders and the hips stacked the entire time, so they're not rotating to make that lift happen, but they're staying stable and strong so that you rely on that core strength and flexibility to bring the knee to the elbow. We're here just about 15 more seconds. Nice and slow, connecting to your breath. Really press down through the touch points with the ground so that you create that nice arch in the lower side of the body, and slowly come down. Be mindful as you exit that plank position. And we are getting ready for our third set of work. We're coming back to that standing position. Again, take your time as you rise to stand. Our first exercise here, we are going to be using just a single weight for a front press to a rotation. So we're going to bring the weight straight to the chest, push it out, squeeze the chest together, and then keep that as you rotate. As you come through that rotation, hips stay steady. They're not coming along for the ride. We're using the mobility in the upper back to make that twist happen. This will be a slightly longer set because we have a longer range of motion. So we're still working through our 16 reps. Let's bring the feet shoulder width apart. Weight is at the center of the chest. Roll the shoulders down the back. Lift up through the center of the heart. Hip points toward the low ribs. Let's begin. Press it forward and twist. Feel your core fire up right away. Out, squeeze that weight and come to the center. So I really want you to squeeze that dumbbell to get the chest and the biceps working. Here's 4. So you see the reps take a little bit longer because we're moving through that longer range of motion. Here's 6. Again, hip points facing forward the entire way. You'll feel that more engagement, more articulation in the core if you can stabilize the pelvis. Coming up on 10 here. So again, we're building that endurance, staying in this working zone the whole way through. Even as you come through that midpoint, that center point, you're still working. You're still holding that weight against gravity. Here is 14. We've got 2 more. Keep it strong. Keep that spine nice and tall. And twist. That was the last one. We're going to grab our second weight for the next exercise. It's our upright row. For the upright row, you're in that shoulder width distance with the feet, and you're bringing the weight slightly forward and up so that you keep the chest expanding. So we want to avoid rounding in the upper back and shoulders, and instead keep that nice upright posture. Let's get 16 reps. Here we go. Bring it up. Squeeze. So really targeting the anterior and medial deltoid here, those strong shoulder muscles. Working on tone and definition in this rep range with the lighter weight selection. Nice and slow, smooth reps. You got this. Breathe in as you come down, extend fully, and then exhale as you come up. That's 10. Let's get 6 more. Here we go. Squeeze the shoulders at the top, but without shrugging them toward the ears. I want you to keep the neck, nice and relaxed. Last 3, last 2, and last 1. Excellent job. I'm going to set the weights down for a moment, shake that out in the shoulders. Our next exercise is an alternating lateral raise. So we are doing single-sided here because this weight is likely to get heavy, especially in that 16 rep range. So coming into position, I want you to lift hip points toward low ribs, roll the shoulders back, and let's begin. So lateral raise, you're taking that weight slightly forward of horizontal so that you have kind of a safer loading angle for your anterior deltoid, that front part of the shoulder. Alternating sides here, make sure you're not swinging that weight. And come through. Coming up on our 10th rep here. We've got just 6 more to go. We're making this more sustainable by moving single-sided effort. Last 4. Last 2. And last 1. So you should have lots left in reserve. That shouldn't feel too taxing for the shoulders, but if it does, you can always drop down further in weight. Lateral raises are one. I don't know if it's the same experience for you, but they are challenging for me no matter what. It's sort of like push-ups that I practice them pretty regularly. They're always in the programming, but they still bring the challenge every time. I'm still waiting to break through to the next weight selection. So let's grab that weight. Single dumbbell for the first exercise. We're coming up on our second set. Then we just have 1 more round of plank and you will be ready for your cool down. So I hope you're feeling that this luteal phase mode kind of meets you exactly where you are, not too taxing, but just enough to heat your body from the inside out. Let's get that weight at the chest, press it forward and rotate. Bring it back to center. So you are bracing the belly even as you come through center. Feel that strong core engagement. Hips stay facing the front. I feel mine wanting to participate, wanting to kind of create a path of less resistance. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for that work, for that effort. Come back to center and reach. Coming up on the halfway point here. So this one, pretty shoulder focused in all three of these exercises. So if you start to feel that fatigue build up too much, you can, again, always drop down and wait, maybe take more recovery in between so that you're coming back fresh for each exercise. We've got 4 more reps. Take it through the center. Again, I know this is a longer range of motion, so especially through that 16 rep range, it feels like a lot, but you got this. Last one here, press it forward, squeeze, and rotate. Excellent job. We are going to grab our second dumbbell here for upright rows. So coming into position, roll the shoulders down the back, and let's begin with our 16 reps. So part of what I love about working in this training mode in the luteal phase is it keeps me showing up. It keeps me looking forward to the workout because I know it is going to meet me exactly where I am. It's not going to push too hard or leave me feeling depleted. Often when my intensity creeps up too high in the luteal phase, I'm tired for the rest of the day. It takes me longer to recover. So if you experience that too, and it keeps you maybe from showing up to your workouts because you know that there's consequences that come after, instead, we tone it down a little bit. We shift the intensity where we're still finding that challenge, but we are mirroring what's going on with our physiology. So we're showing up exactly as we need to. Here's last one. And I'm going to set the weights down just for a little release before we start our final round of alternating lateral raises. So that's part of this cyclical fitness artistry, is developing consistency even when we hit kind of those more turbulent times throughout the cycle. We can still show up. We can still work out in a powerful way, but it's intentional. It is done with purpose. We're moving our bodies in a way that is supportive. Let's begin. Alternating lateral raises, 16 reps. Here we go. Take it up and back down. Nice and slow, smooth through this range of motion. So avoiding that tendency to swing, especially if you're working as intended with lighter weights, you might have a tendency to want to kind of swing it out and back. Instead, I want you to develop even deeper mind-muscle connection so that you stay in control the whole way up, the whole way down. Coming up on 8 reps here, halfway. Let's get 8 more. Breathe out as you lift and in as you come back through that center position. Last 2 here, lift it up. Shoulders are away from the ears. And slowly come down. We have just one final side plank round left. So I'll get our timer started. You can start to work your way toward that side plank position. So you're either on your forearms or on the hand. If you can, I encourage you to take the same position that you did on the first side, just for balance and creating that evenness from one side to the other. So go ahead, stack your hips, stack your shoulders, come into position. I'll start our timer now. So reaching that top arm overhead, get really stable in your side plank first, and then we're going to be alternating. If you want, it's there for you. Knee forward to the elbow, and then turn the knee out, bring it to the side, knee to elbow. Breathe in as you extend, exhale, draw your energy to the center. So we radiate out in that first half of the cycle, and then we bring it back in the luteal phase. It's like making this beautiful circle, kind of coming out and back in, almost like a pulse with each month that passes. We have this period of expansion, of growth, of development. And then we have this period of preservation, of inward movement, of that protective phase. We've got about 10 more seconds. Breathe in and out. Last one. And slowly come down. Shake out your wrists, shake out your arms. Maybe give some big shoulder circles here. Then we'll take our time as we transition back up to standing. So you might come into that hip hinge position first, and then slowly rise all the way to standing. Let's take a huge breath in together and sigh it out. That is your short and sweet upper body strength session for today. I hope it felt just right in your body, something that you can show up for, something that you can look forward to during this time in your cycle. So now that you've completed the strength work, you are ready to cool down. You have just finished your upper body strength work, and now we will stretch it out. We are going to move through 10 different exercises for 30 seconds each just to cool it down. Let's start with a chest stretch. Interlace your fingers behind you. Start to straighten the arms as best as you can without flaring the low ribs. So we drop the tailbone slightly toward the heels. Then I want you to send the gaze up. Nice and slow, send the head back, and then reverse it. So draw the chin all the way to the chest. Feel that stretch in the back of the neck. Lift the head, send it back. So we're looking to release any tension from the neck and shoulders here. Last one like this. And release. Let's bend the knees deeply. I want you to take your hands behind, either clasp opposite wrists or thread the hands through for opposite shins. Then I want you to round into the upper back. Press your hands into your shins into your hands, and broaden the shoulder blades apart. So you have a very generous bend in the knees. This is all about the upper back. You might shimmy and sway the hips side to side here just to kind of give a little bit of traction on opposite shoulder blades. Then release the hands, start to transition to your tabletop position. Flip the fingers so they're facing your knees. Bring the shoulders directly over the wrists. Let's enjoy cat-cow here. Inhale and exhale around. So we're really trying to stretch the forearms and the wrists, give a little bit of release while also kind of waving through the spine. Last one here. And then we'll take the hips to the heels, come into a child's pose, but walk your hands to the left. Heavy your right sitting bone toward your right heel and stretch the arms in the opposite direction. Really feel that side body awakening here. Under the armpit, the shoulders stretch. We'll take this first round to the left side, and then we'll walk the hands nice and slowly over to the right. Same thing, feel that side body stretch. Really try to elongate from the left armpit to the left hip crease here, awakening the entire left side. And then we'll slowly start to come back up to our tabletop. Sway the hips side to side. And then we're coming into our thread the needle stretch. So left arm reaches up and open, and then take that arm, thread it under. Bring your left ear to the mat. Spider your right fingertips. As best as you can, keep the hips lifted and square so that we're really just freeing the upper back here, allowing the rib cage to move independently from the pelvis, really giving a lot of freedom to the spine. Slowly start to come back out and switch. So right hand opens up and then we thread it under. So our upper back thoracic spine has this great capacity for rotation, more so even than the lower back. So we really want to free that rotational space so that we can move in our full range of motion as designed. Slowly start to unfold here. Come back to tabletop. I'm going to have you turn your knees to the left. Bring your right hip down. And then we're going to bring left ear to the mat. Open the arms out to cactus or to T. So this is a downward facing twist. I'm going to keep my right ear down just to maintain the sound quality. But you can have your left ear for kind of that full spinal rotation all the way to the cervical spine. Really release the chest. Press both shoulders down. And then we will switch. So press up onto the hands. Take your left hip to the mat, knees to the right. This time bringing right ear to the mat, arms either to cactus or to T. And then we're aiming to keep the front of the shoulders grounded on the mat. So just receiving this gentle twist here, feeling that connection of the front body to the earth. So you get that grounded quality. Last breath here. We'll slowly press up. This time, come all the way onto the belly. First entry point here will be Sphinx, where you're pressing the forearms down, dragging the elbows back to broaden the chest and feel that little bit of a back bend. If you need more, you can lift the elbows just a touch, but if you feel any pinching in the lower back, I want you to come down. The way to keep the lower back long is to lengthen the legs out behind you, keep them active and strong. Feel this nice big stretch and slowly release. So we'll come back to our tabletop, nice and easy. Sway the hips a little bit. Step your feet to your hands. Let the body hang heavy for a moment. And then nice and easy, bone by bone, we'll roll up slowly to standing. Just being mindful of any changes in blood pressure. Let's enjoy a huge breath in together and a slow breath out. That is your very quick upper body cool down. If you have more time for static stretching, I encourage you to stay in this mode for a few more moments or for as long as your body needs, as long as you have space for today. But I want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining me, for showing up for yourself and for your cycle in this really powerful way. It is such an honor to move with you. So thank you for letting your body be moved.